The birthday cake sat untouched on my dining room table, 70 candles flickering in the dim light. I should have been celebrating. Instead, I was listening to my daughter-in-law Patricia orchestrate my professional funeral. "We all know Mom's been struggling lately," Patricia announced to the gathered family, her voice dripping with false concern. "The forgetfulness, the confusion about dates. It's getting worse." My son Michael nodded gravely. "She asked me the same question 3 times last week. I had asked him once about his business loan payments. But apparently Patricia had coached him well." "I've been researching facilities," Patricia continued, pulling out a folder like she'd been planning this presentation. "Sunset Manor has an excellent dementia care program. The sooner we act, the better for everyone." My daughter Sarah shifted uncomfortably. "Don't you think we should get a medical opinion first?" "Sarah, look at her." Patricia gestured toward me like I wasn't sitting 3 feet away. "She's clearly declining. Yesterday she couldn't remember where she put her keys." I'd moved my keys to a different hook because Patricia had been going through my purse. But I said nothing. "The facility costs $8,000 a month," Patricia said, consulting her notes. "But between selling this house and her savings, it's definitely affordable." But there was the house I'd owned for 42 years, the one Patricia had been eyeing since she married Michael 5 years ago. "What about the business?" asked my nephew Tom. "Mom's still listed as a consultant." Patricia waved dismissively. "Michael handles everything now. Have been for years. She barely understands what the company does anymore." Michael's construction company. The one I'd quietly funded since its inception 15 years ago. The one that bore his name but existed because of my money, my connections, my silent partnership that none of them knew about. "I think we should vote," Patricia said. "All in favor of moving forward with institutionalization?" Hands went up around the room. Michael, Patricia, my sister Helen, even Tom. Only Sarah hesitated. "Sarah," Patricia prompted. "This is for her own good." Sarah's hand slowly rose. I watched my family vote to lock me away like I was already gone. Patricia smiled triumphantly, no doubt already redecorating my house in her mind. "Well then, it's settled," she announced. "I'll call Sunset Manor tomorrow and arrange the intake evaluation." "If you'll excuse me," I said quietly, standing up. "I need to make a phone call." "See," Patricia whispered loudly as I walked toward the kitchen. "She's probably forgotten it's her own birthday party." I stepped into my study and dialed a number I knew by heart. "Henderson and Associates." "James? It's Eleanor. We need to talk." The next morning I was dressed and ready when the doorbell rang at 8 a.m. sharp. Through the window, I watched Patricia's face change from confusion to concern as she saw the 3 people on my doorstep. James Henderson, my business attorney for 23 years. Maria Santos, my accountant. And Detective Frank Morrison, who'd worked several fraud cases for my companies over the years. "Eleanor," James said as I opened the door. "Are you ready?" "I've been ready for months." Patricia appeared behind me, still in her robe. "Who are these people?" "Mom, you shouldn't be answering the door alone." "Patricia," I said calmly, "I'd like you to meet my attorney, my accountant, and a detective from the Financial Crimes Unit." The color drained from her face. "Financial crimes? May we come in?" Detective Morrison asked. "We have some questions about your recent activities regarding Mrs. Campbell's finances and mental capacity." We gathered in the living room. Michael arrived 20 minutes later, summoned by Patricia's panicked phone call. He looked confused but not yet afraid. "What's this about?" he asked. James opened his briefcase. "It's about a pattern of financial elder abuse and fraud that's been building for several months. Mrs. Campbell has been documenting everything." "Financial abuse?" Patricia laughed nervously. "That's ridiculous. We're helping her manage her money because she can't do it herself anymore." "Is that so?" Maria spread papers across my coffee table. "These are bank records showing numerous unauthorized attempts to access Mrs. Campbell's accounts using forged power of attorney documents." Patricia's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. "And these," James continued, "are recordings of conversations where you discussed your plans to have Mrs. Campbell declared incompetent so you could gain control of her assets." Detective Morrison leaned forward. We're particularly interested in your research into changing the beneficiaries on her life insurance policies. That's... Patricia started, then stopped. That's what? I asked gently. That's not true. Or that's not illegal. Michael was staring at the papers. I don't understand. What assets? Mom lives off Social Security and her small savings account. I almost felt sorry for him. Patricia had played him perfectly, keeping him ignorant of my real financial situation while using his name and business as cover for her schemes. Michael, James said, your mother is the silent partner in your construction company. She's provided over $2 million in funding over the past 15 years. That's impossible. She also owns the building your company rents, 3 of your major equipment leases, and has personally guaranteed most of your business loans. Michael looked like he'd been hit by a truck. Mom. I wanted you to feel independent, I said. I wanted you to believe you'd built something on your own. But I've been there every step of the way, protecting you, funding you, making sure you succeeded. Patricia was backing toward the door. This is all very interesting, but I should go. Actually, Detective Morrison said, you should stay. We have a warrant for your arrest. Arrest? For what? Attempted fraud, elder abuse, forgery, and conspiracy to commit theft. He pulled out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. As Patricia was led away in handcuffs, screaming about misunderstandings and false accusations, Michael slumped in his chair. I don't understand any of this, he whispered. Your wife has been systematically trying to gain control of my finances for months, I explained. The dementia story, the facility research, the power of attorney attempts. It was all part of a plan to have me declared incompetent so she could access my money. But you do forget things. I forget where I put my keys sometimes. That's not dementia, that's being 70 years old. James handed Michael a thick folder. These are the real financial records for your business. Your mother owns 60% of the company, has funded every major expansion, and has been the guarantor on every loan you've ever received. Michael stared at the papers. Why didn't you tell me? Because you needed to believe in yourself. Because I wanted you to have pride in your accomplishments. And because I was watching to see who really cared about me versus who cared about what I could give them. And Patricia. Patricia saw a lonely old woman with assets to steal. She never bothered to find out how extensive those assets were. Detective Morrison returned from his car. She's being booked now. The DA says with the evidence you've provided, this should be a solid case. What happens now? Michael asked. Now you decide, Isev. Do you want to be a real partner in your business, or do you want to continue pretending you built it alone? Do you want a relationship based on honesty, or do you want to keep living in fantasy? I want the truth. I love it. The truth is that you're a good man who married a woman who saw you as a path to easy money. The truth is that your business is successful because you work hard, but it exists because I believed in you. The truth is that I've been protecting you from financial ruin for 15 years while pretending to be just a confused old lady. Michael was quiet for a long time. What about yesterday? The family meeting. Yesterday was a test. I wanted to see who would stand up for me and who would go along with Patricia's plan. And we all 5. Sarah hesitated. That counts for something. What can I do to make this right? I looked at my son. This man either has done loved and secretly supported for decades. You can start by treating me like an equal partner instead of a burden. You can learn to recognize when someone is manipulating you. And you can help me rebuild relationships with the family members who might be worth saving. And Patricia? Patricia will face the consequences of her choices. But that's not your fault or your responsibility. 3 months later, Michael and I had our first official business meeting as acknowledged partners. Sarah the pale years and asked to be more involved in family decisions. My sister Ellen was still processing everything but had started calling me regularly. Patricia was sentenced to 2 years in prison for elder fraud and attempted theft. Her sentence was enhanced because of the vulnerability of the intended victim, me, a confused elderly woman who turned out to be sharper than anyone had given me credit for. I kept the birthday cake in my freezer for weeks, unable to throw it away. It reminded me of the night I realized that sometimes the people who claimed all of you are the ones planning to hurt you most. Batit also reminded me that I was stronger than they talked, smarter than they assumed, and more prepared than they could have imagined. Some people see age as weakness. Others see it as wisdom earned through experience. The important thing is making sure you know which one you're dealing with before they get too close to your birthday cake.